Hi friends, in our last session we have seen parameters defining working motion. That is how we can calculate the cutting speed and feed, along with that how we can calculate machining time. In today's session we are going to discuss machine tool drives. Okay, and the first type of drive, that is mechanical drives, we are going to discuss in this session. This is Faizan Kagri and I welcome you all to our lecture series of machine tool design. So let's begin with our first topic, that is machine tool drives. The first question comes in our mind is that what is drive? Right. So we would say that drive is a combination of mechanisms which is used to transmit mechanical power, that is rotary motion, from a driving shaft to a driven shaft. Or we can say from an external source to our operative member of a machine tool. Okay. Now what is our external source? So it is always our electric motor, which is going to supply mechanical power, right? So our driving shaft will be connected with our external source, that is electric motor, and our driven shaft will be connected with our operative element, that is operative member. Now we would say that it could be a spindle, operative member could be a spindle, right, which is going to hold a workpiece. Similarly, we can say an operative member could be a bed, right, a machine tool bed, which is going to reciprocate, or which is going to perform a linear motion in case of a planing machine, shaping machine, right, and in case of a milling machine. Okay, so what an operative member has to do, it has to perform the working motions. Now we know working motions, we have discussed in our last session that it is of two types, right, that is drive motion and feed motion. Which means, according to that, operative member would have to perform either a rotary motion, and second type it could be a translatory motion, that is linear motion. Now for performing that, we would say we can use different types of mechanism, that is different combinations of a drive. So there could be a mechanical element, for example gears, right, belt, chain, okay, or a hydraulic elements in which we are going to see hydraulic cylinders, pumps, which are used as a drive to transmit the mechanical power. Similarly, we are going to see electric circuits, that is electric motor, how we can use that. Okay, so in our case, in most of the cases, we are going to see mechanical elements which are used as a drive to transmit mechanical power. And from that we can say that the drives are correspondingly known as mechanical drive, hydraulic drive, and electrical drive. It may be seen that a machine tool drive mainly consists of two parts. We can say the first is the electric motor, that is the main power source, and second is our transmission arrangement. Now this transmission arrangement could be our mechanical drive or hydraulic drive or electrical drive. Okay guys, so I hope that you are clear. So let's move forward and see our next topic, that is salient features for selecting and designing drives. That is, which features we need to consider before selecting a drive, that is either a gear drive, belt drive, chain drive, hydraulic drive, or electrical drives. What are the features which we need to keep in mind? Okay, so this is the most important question. Let us see that. Now as you can see, the list is shown on the screen. The first selection criteria is a production time, that is how much time a machine tool is going to take to produce a particular component, or in how much time a component can be finished. Okay, so production time is the most important criteria. Based on that, drive has to be selected. Next is the surface finish and accuracy required. Okay, so higher is the surface finish and accuracy required, we need to consider basically a gear drive. It is most suitable to provide an accurate surface finish because vibrations up to a certain extent is also avoided, and there is no slip by making use of gears. Next, minimum cost, that we should select a drive in such a way that it is economical. Okay, so this is the most common criteria. Next, optimum efficiency. Okay, next point is most important, that is a drive should be such that it should provide a non-stop operation while changing the speed. Now what does this mean? So for example, while changing a speed from let's say from N1 to N2 RPM, okay, from N1 RPM to N2 RPM, the drive should be such that it should not stop the machining process, okay, and it should not stop the electric motor, non-stop operation. Okay, next point, the operator should be able to switch from any speed to any speed without going through the intermediate sequence. So let us understand by taking an example that a machine tool has a speed in an interval of 500 rpm. Okay, let's say initial minimum speed is N1000 rpm, next speed is 1500 rpm, then after N3 is 2000 rpm. So what does this indicate? That whenever an operator is required to move from 1000 rpm to a 2000 rpm, so it should be easily shifted without going to the intermediate speed, that is about 1500 rpm. Directly a speed change has to be provided from any speed to any speed. Okay, so this is the most important criteria before designing the drives. Next point, as you can see on your screen, the system should be compact and not have any auxiliary arrangement or counter shaft, which means system should take a minimum space. Okay, compactness is the most important criteria, that is the construction should be such that it has a minimum number of gears, it has a minimum number of pulleys. Okay, in that way we need to design our drive. Next important criteria is that the system should be so designed that it has a minimum number of components such as shaft, gears, operating lever, etc. So what does this going to help? So it will help in increasing the machine reliability. Next, it should have a centralized control, that is all the controls, or we would say push buttons, toggles, a hand wheel, or we would say every control has to be provided at a single place so that it would be easier for the operator to operate particular button. Okay, so these are the features which has to be considered before designing the drives. Let us proceed further. Let us start with our first type of a drive, that is mechanical transmission and its elements. Okay, now the elements of mechanical transmission is classified into following groups. So the first is elementary transmission for transmitting a rotary motion. That is a drive which is going to transmit a rotary motion. That is electric motor is going to perform a rotary motion, but even operating member is also going to perform a rotary motion. So first category is that rotary to rotary. Okay, second category, transmission that transforms rotary into transitory motion. That is, we are going to see the mechanism which is going to transmit rotary motion of electric motor into transitory motion of an operating member. Okay. Third type, coupling and clutches. You know, the purpose of coupling is to connect two shafts. Okay, and clutches is to provide variable speed. That is, it is going to provide a flexibility to engage and disengage two shafts without stopping the driving shaft. Okay, the driven shaft can be stopped without stopping the driving shaft by means of a clutch. Provision of engaging and disengaging. Even this is used in our automobiles at a time of shifting gears, if you remember. Okay, next fourth point, spatial mechanisms and drives. So all this we are going to see. Now let us start with our first type, that is we are going to see the mechanism which is going to transmit rotary motion into a rotary motion of operating member. Okay, so as you can see, the list is provided on your screen. So it includes spur gear, helical gear, bevel gear, spiral gear, bomb and bomb wheel. Now, when a positive drive is required, that is when no slip is required between the driving and a driven shaft, then gears are most suitable. Okay. Now, in that we can even have a category that when we need to transmit a power between two parallel shafts, then spur gear is suitable. That is, spur gear has a characteristic that its teeth are parallel to the axis of a shaft. You would have learned all these types of gears in your kinematics of machine subject, right? So I am just giving an overview that this is going to transmit a rotary motion. Okay. Now the main problem in a spur gear is that it creates more noise. Okay, at a higher speed. So in that case, when a machine tool is running at high speed, spur gears are not preferable. For that, we need to upgrade and use a helical gear. Now, what is the characteristic of a helical gear? So as you can see on your screen, the helical gears has a teeth cut at a certain angle with an axis of a shaft. Okay, that angle is called a helix angle. Okay, so what is the benefit of that? So we would say that the running of this gear, this type of gear is much more smoother at a higher speed, which means it does not create noise. It is operating quietly even at a high speed. But it also has certain problem that at a higher speed, we would say thrust load is increasing. Thrust load is a load which is acting along the axis of a shaft. Okay, so that load is going to create a vibration problem. But this can be avoided by making use of a double helical gear, that is herringbone gear. Okay, so opposite thrust it is going to exert, and we would say that it would be nullified. So this is again a one type helical gear. The next type is a bevel gear. Now, when we require to transmit a mechanical power between two perpendicular shafts, remember, between two perpendicular shafts, then we can use bevel gear. So as you can see that one of the axis, let's say, of a driving shaft is in vertical form, so second one is a horizontal form, intersecting each other, let's say at a 90 degree. Okay, so even it is not necessary that the angle will always be 90 degree, but we would say that whenever two shafts are intersecting, then at that time mechanical power can be transmitted by means of a bevel gear. Now next, as you can see on your screen, it is a spiral gear. Now spiral gears are used when two shafts are, we would say, non-parallel. Remember, two shafts are non-parallel and non-intersect. Whereas in the previous case of bevel gear, as you can see, two shafts are intersecting, remember. Whereas in case of spur gear and helical gear, two shafts are parallel. So this is the main difference which we need to keep in mind. Whereas in a spiral gear, we can say that two shafts are non-parallel and non-intersecting. At that time, we can use a spiral gear. And the last type is a worm and a worm wheel. Now, when a worm and a worm wheel can be used, so you can clearly see that worm is a upper gear which is of a smaller size. Okay, and both the axes of a gears are perpendicular to each other. Now, why it is called worm? So the reason is that, so when a worm is going to rotate, it looks as if a earthworm is moving. Okay, from that it is named as a worm. Whereas the corresponding gear which is in meshing is a worm gear. Now when this type of gear is used, so when a high speed reduction is required, for example in a thread cutting operation, remember, in a thread cutting operation, so this worm will be connected to our electric motor in that case, and we would say that a worm gear will be connected to our thread. Okay, that is our lead screw of our machine tool. Okay, so it can provide a speed reduction of, we would say that if a worm is rotating at a speed of let's say 1000 rpm, so corresponding reduction could be 100,000 times reduced. That is, we can rotate our worm wheel up to 1 rpm. That is, when 1000 revolution per minute, at that time a worm wheel can rotate at we would say 1 revolution per minute. I hope that you are clear what is the speed reduction. Okay, now next is, we would say, next type which we need to see is it also includes open bed types of drives, which is again a case of our transmission of rotary motion of a motor into a rotary motion of a operating member. So as you can see on your screen, types of drives are shown: open bed drive, cross bed drive, quarter turn bed drive, and step con bed drive. So I hope that you are clear with this all the types, because it is already covered in your kinematics of machine. Just I am giving an overview that in an open bed drive you can clearly see that two shafts will be parallel, and one side would be a tight side, other side would be a slack side, and when both the shaft has to be rotated in the same direction. Let's say that in our diagram, as you can see, that driving shaft is rotating in a clockwise direction, so corresponding driven shaft will also rotate in a clockwise direction. Cross belt drive is used when we need to rotate our two shafts in an opposite direction. That is, one is rotating in a clockwise, let's say electric motor is in a clockwise, so the machine shaft, or we would say the machine shaft or a spindle would be rotated in an anti-clockwise direction by making use of a cross belt drive. Okay, quarter turn belt drive, the application is very simple, that one of the shaft is parallel and another shaft is at a perpendicular to each other. Both the shafts are perpendicular to each other. Then in that case we are going to use quarter turn belt drive. Step cone pulley drive is most important in case of a machine tool. So whenever we need to step up the speed or step down the speed, we need to install this cone pulley, that is step cone pulley drive. Now, as you can clearly see that our driving shaft has a bigger pulley, whereas on a driven shaft we have a smaller pulley, and belt is mounted on a first case, on a first type. So it is very obvious that driving pulley is of a bigger size, driven pulley is of a smaller size. So what is going to happen? So we would say step up will take place. That is, it is going to increase the speed of a driven shaft, which means our operating member. Okay. whenever we require to run both the shaft at the same speed, so what we are going to do? So by making use of a belt shifter, we are going to shift the belt from our initial position to our middle position, first position to the second, that is a middle position. In that you can clearly see that the size of both the pulleys are same, so both are going to run at the same speed, that is driving shaft and a driven shaft. And when we require to step down this speed, so we are going to push, we are going to move the belt on a third position, that is, in that case, driving shaft has a smaller pulley, driven shaft has a bigger pulley. So this is how we can increase or reduce the speed. Okay, step on in steps. Now let's move further, seeing the next slide. So the next is transmission that transforms rotary into a translatory motion. The examples are very clear. Slider crank mechanism, cam mechanism, crank and rocker mechanism. So the first picture, first you can see there are animations shown. The first animation is of a slider crank mechanism in which you can see that, let's say, a driving motor is going to rotate a crank, and by means of a crank and connecting rod it is going to slide the piston, which means a piston is going to perform a reciprocating motion. Right. Now next is cam and follower mechanism, in which you can clearly see that electric motor would be connected with a cam shaft, okay, and pointed portion of a cam will strike the follower. So the follower is going to perform a vertical motion, but in a constraint, which means a constraint is provided that it can only move in a specific direction, up and down. Okay, so it is very obvious that rotor is converted into translatory motion. And last is a crank and rocker mechanism. So even you would have listened about a quick return mechanism. Crank and slotted arm quick return mechanism, which is mostly used in a shaper machine in order to move the cutting tool, right? So this is one of the mechanism, crank and rocker mechanism, which you would have studied in detail in your MP1, manufacturing process 1. So I hope guys that you are clear with the transmission system. See, this is very simple. These all types are very simple, which you already know how it's going to operate. Okay, so what we have discussed in today's session, we have seen what is drive. Okay, then after, features which has to be considered before selecting and designing the drives, and we have seen mechanical elements of mechanical drives. In that we have seen elements, that is gears, in which rotary motion into rotary conversion and rotary motion into translatory conversion. So I hope that you are clear in today's session. Now we will continue with this chapter of, and we will start with the hydraulic drives in our next session. So till then, stay tuned and thank you all.